T-Bone, Musso, and Danny in the studio right now. It is my pleasure to be joined by one of the best, a quality guy, both on and off the court, professional life and otherwise. Talking about your voice of the New Orleans Pelicans. You can catch him tonight on that Fox Sports NOLA broadcast. When you hear the voice, hold on to your seats because chances are you're going to feel chills running through your body, of course. I'm talking about my guy, Joel Meyers. Joel, what's up, man?
Yeah, it's early for that, T-Bone. You know that. It's very early, and I haven't had enough coffee yet. So
It's early for that voice. I need a cigarette. Joel, thank you so much for joining us this morning, man. Real quick, you stopped by our neck of the woods the other night. How'd you enjoy your foray into Baton Rouge?
Oh, man, what a time. And a great recommendation by you to go over to Rufino's and spend time talking to Ruffin. What a great place.
Yeah.
And what great, the photos on the wall and
It's cool.
all that goes along with Baton Rouge. I loved it. And Ruffin, sensational guy. So there's a lot of history in that restaurant. And thank you for the recommendation. It was a great night.
Yeah, and there's we're trying to make some history in the Smoothie King Center, or I guess by extension, you'll be in the Smoothie King Center tonight. Pelly's squaring up scrimmage. How excited are you to be back on television broadcasting live basketball?
Giddy. I'm like a little kid. so I've done a bunch of Sirius XM NBA radio shows. In fact, tomorrow morning from 9 to 12 Central. I'm not trying to cut into your
No, you got it,
show
man. Go ahead.
last hour. But I just can't wait. And I told AD that Antonio Daniels is my partner, has been my friend for 20 years because I called his games when I was doing Spurs television, and he was playing for Pop. So can't wait to get back into the building and just doing what we love to do. And we're fortunate, and you are the same way, that it's not a job and it's not work because we love what we do. So I can't wait because the game it means a great deal to me. It always has. And can't wait to be there tonight to call a game, even a scrimmage. Happy with the scrimmage because I've been watching all weekend long. I had golf on and I had the NBA channel on and the League Pass. So I was watching wall-to-wall basketball all weekend. It was great.
And what's interesting about that, Joel, is tonight there's some good storylines in terms of going up against the Bucks. Before we talk about tonight's scrimmage, let's talk about what you've seen out of the Pelicans in these first two. Yes, they have faced rosters that did not resemble NBA rosters. But that said, they've looked crisp. They've looked efficient. They look like a well-oiled machine. What's been your biggest takeaways from the Pelly's first two scrimmages?
Well, as you said, it's really tough to gauge things because Brooklyn, they're banged up. They don't have a lot of their regulars here. And they didn't play Tyler Johnson, who had a big game for them. In fact, Brooklyn came back, and beat San Antonio.
Oh, wow.
When Tyler Johnson hit a bunch of threes over the weekend, which shocked a lot of people. But it's tough to gauge. And then that strange lineup, because Gary Harris and Jamal Murray did not play for Denver in the matchup on Saturday night. But what I do like is the guys look like they're in shape.
Yep.
And in condition and deep. So the bench scored. In the last one on Saturday night, bench scored 92 of the 119 points. So Drew and the starting five didn't play. Nobody played more than 12 or 13 minutes. Now, I think that'll be ramped up a little bit tonight for game conditioning for Thursday.
Okay.
And then it's going to be interesting to see how they implement Zion. He'll be in the starting lineup on Thursday night. But how many minutes, how long the stretches will be, because he's been away, and it's going to be about 12, 13 days between getting on the floor in actual game activity for him. So I am impressed, though, by the overall depth and then the conditioning of the bench in particular because they played most of the minutes.
And so, okay, I got two on that, but let's start with Zion. It sounds like everything with the emergency family issue seemed like it was okay, or regardless of what happened there or not, he tested negative every day. He is back. He will be eligible to rejoin the team on Tuesday. So you touched on it there. Do we have any idea of what his plan or what the coach's plan will be for him in terms of usage come game one on Thursday?
Well, I would think, and it's just guess, it's just speculation, but I would think the first 6-7 minutes he's on the floor. Mm-hmm. So if you space those stretches where you use him between 6 and 8 minutes, at the most, you're up past 30 anyway, basically, if it's up to 8-minute stretches. So I think it's 30 minutes in that neighborhood, just a guess, out of the 48, maybe a little bit more if you need them more. And you probably will, because it's Utah. And they've always been a tough matchup. It's fitting it is Utah in the first game because they were the strangest finishes, the most bizarre finishes we had, and the closest. The Rudy Gobert, the 2x4 across Brandon Ingram. And then 10 days later, the foul that shouldn't have been called at the end of the game when we thought with 4/10 of a second to go that Brandon Ingram had, the game winner. And Ingram that night had a career best 49. Ingram, Lonzo looked like they have not missed a beat. Shots look really wet, look great. So cross our fingers. But realistically, to me, the Pels are going to have to go about 6-2 to catch Memphis because you're 3 back on the loss column with only 8 to play. That's going to be a tough task.
Yeah, it certainly feels like you got to get one of these first 2, and then you got to go 5-1, and you must beat the Grizzlies when you got their one opportunity. So that's just a little framework for the fans to be looking for as they get through these 8 games. Let's zoom out a little bit, Joel. Let's pull out a little bit because when I look, just like listen to the conversation we just had over the last couple minutes, we're talking about a team that has depth. We're talking about bench scoring. We're talking about options. We're talking about being able to, get by without a player of Zion's caliber. If you just go back a year and a half in Pelicans history, that would have seemed like a pipe dream. It would have seemed like the height of absurdity. I guess I was thinking about it this weekend. I'm just struck by the enormous transformation that David Griffin has kind of started in this organization, and we're just still here at the very beginning of it.
Well, to your point, the core and the 3 guys we got from the Lakers, super young, T-Bob.
Yeah.
There's 8 guys on this team that are 25 or under. That's incredible for an NBA team. So the core and the future is hard to believe. And Brandon Ingram, in my estimation, and I'm not objective, he should be most improved player with what he's done this year. I mean, it's dramatic, the ascent. And I know Bam Adebayo's had a great year. Luka's had a good year. Luka's numbers were really good last year as Rookie of the Year. So it wasn't a huge jump for him. And I know others have been considered for most improved player. But Brandon Ingram has taken a huge leap. Plus, he wants it at the end of games now. And that's really good to see. So, when you look at the big picture, it is only beginning. This is just the window is just opening for this franchise. There's a lot of good things going on. And you know what I really liked about the Zion situation? That I guess in a different market, maybe they would have been primed and maybe they wouldn't have given up on, we've got to know.
Yeah.
But I do like the way the New Orleans, the Gulf South, the Gulf Coast, Baton Rouge, because we have so many loyal people that drive in every home game. I have season ticket holders all around me from Baton Rouge. And that they respected the privacy of Zion and his family. I really like that. I think the consideration, it wasn't lost on me or the ball club. And I think that says a lot about the area and the way we're building the right way because of the people that are around us in this area.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, Joel. We touched on that earlier in the show where it's like, I felt like it was kind of a win for human decency, right? In an era where NBA scoops, you're talking about one of the most competitive areas of business ever. I mean, just look at like Shams and Woj have built a war around this kind of stuff, and everybody just kind of kept their distance and said, look, he's dealing with it.
Right, and to your point, because I agree with you, we live in a TMZ society.
Yes.
Regardless of whether it's sports or anything else, everybody's got to know. Well, it's a private family matter. Just because he's a public figure doesn't mean that he can't have privacy just like you and me.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that from everybody around here.
Yeah, and so he's back, and it sounds like maybe everything worked out okay. But either way, he's back, and he's going to play this Thursday, or he's back on the team. So you mentioned BI wanting the ball at the end of games, and that does call to question, which is maybe it's not even accurate to call it a point of friction, but you do kind of have an alpha situation when you're talking about Zion and you're talking about Brandon Ingram. And at times this year, there was some growing pains with those two kind of trying to work together and how they can both have that all-star level success at the same time. How do you interpret that? At the end of the game, is BI the guy taking the shots?
Well, it depends on the game, the way it's defended.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the healthy part of it.
Okay.
One's an inside guy and one's an outside guy. Brandon's 3-point improvement is hard to believe. He's almost, I think it's 39.7 to be exact. He's almost 40% on his threes. Zion, it's crazy how efficient he is on the block.
Yeah.
So that's the best of both worlds. So you got an inside guy, you got an outside guy, and then you have other options because Lonzo can shoot now. Shot looks really good. Drew can finish. We've seen that before. If they're paying so much attention to the other two, then you have the other guys on the floor. So what the Pels need to do better over the 8 games, they have to rebound better and they have to defend better.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be more possessions for the opposition because of the pace they play with. And maybe the biggest key for the Pels, and they've done a good job of the 2 scrimmage games. They've only had a little over 15 on average over those 2 games, 15 turnovers, where they're at about almost 18 a game over the previous 64.
Yeah.
They can't beat themselves. It's playoff basketball. Every game is a playoff game now, T-Bob. So there's a premium on every possession. You cannot be casual or cavalier with the ball. They've got to minimize the turnovers. If they minimize their turnovers, I think they really have a good shot of taking 6 of the 8 games.
Yeah, I mean, look, when the Pelicans, you're absolutely right. Like when their assist rates, they're over like 30 assists, like they have been. They're legitimately one of the best teams in the entire NBA because of how potent the offense is. And the defense before the shutdown, it was really starting to get going as well. Do you kind of have a key figure that you're looking at that defensively could kind of be that weather vane to show you which direction things are going in that regard?
Yeah, when Derek Favors is on the floor, they're a much, much better team defensively. There's no question about that. He's just a pro. And for his size, he's one of the best rim protectors in the NBA because he's just stable. He's sound. And so when Derek's on the floor, they are a different team defensively. They look really good in half-court defense. And they're going to have to do that against Utah in the very first game. Because Utah, even though the score was up the last game with the Pels in Utah does not want to play that style of basketball.
Yeah.
They want to keep Gobert in the half-court set. They want him as their rim protector. They want to set things up. Quinn Snyder's a really good coach. That's the other part of it. You've got the first 2 games against winners, and both are 2 of the best coaches we have in the NBA, Quinn Snyder and Doc Rivers. Now, the Clips are going to be missing Lou Williams, and that's one of their best scorers off the bench because he's going to miss the first 2 games. We didn't have to worry about Zion going to a gentleman's club, did we?
No, he didn't.
Thank you.
But the wings. I mean, it was the wings. It wasn't the women. The Magic City, they have great wings, Joel. I've actually never been, but no. Look, that is a good point.
Yeah.
I guess we made a lot of jokes this morning, but Lou was on an excused absence for his grandfather's funeral when he popped in there. So Zion could have easily gotten caught up in something similar, and he didn't because even at 20 years old, this kid is just mature beyond his years. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's poised, isn't he? He's almost like when you ask him a question, he gathers before he makes his move, like he is on the floor. He takes his time. He's
then
a very
he runs you
confident,
over.
poised young man.
Okay, so last one here, Joel, before we let you go. A lot of the young guys, especially that second scrimmage, looked really good, right? Whether it was Mikal, Jackson Hayes continues to do nice things. I'm missing someone. Which young player, and I say young.
Frank Jackson.
Frank, thank you, Frank. That's what I was looking for. Which one of those guys, or guys kind of that grouping or on that part in the depth chart, which one of those do you think can play a really big role here over these 8 games?
Well, it's all matchups, seriously. And if we want to go small, say play Zion at the 5, and you want to go smaller, well, probably you're going to have J.J. Redick on the floor. So you're going to have Drew, Lonzo, J.J., Brandon at the 4, and Zion at the 5. So even though you want to get these reps for these young men, I don't know how deep you can go. Now, Kenrich Williams is back, and I don't know if you saw him over the weekend, but, man, he's diving for loose balls. He's making plays. He's going offensive rebounds, the assists, the steals. That activity is appreciated, and that hard work. So there's an energy guy. I think he's going to get some run because he's a wing, and he's got some length at 6'7", a legit 6'7". I wish his stroke because he doesn't have a bad-looking shot. It just doesn't go in as often as you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got good looks out there on the wing. But once his shot starts to fall a little bit more, he's going to be a factor. But that's why I brought up that 8 guys 25 or under, because Frank Jackson he's got unbelievable athleticism, as we saw in that lob.
That alley-oop was awesome,
Alexander
dude.
Walker. Right. So we know what he can do. Alexander Walker is starting to get a feel for the lead position because he can create, but he can also score. His stroke looks good. And then how about Jackson Hayes on the reverse around Bol? And his athleticism plus his shot's good. He had that little 15-footer early in the game when he got on the floor. So there's a lot of positives going in. But when you're in playoff basketball, you're playing 8 or 9 guys.
Yeah.
You're not playing 10 or 11. Now, maybe they need to because of conditioning and the way they want to play with pace, but I truly believe it'll be 8 or 9 guys.
There you go, Joel Meyers. At Joel Meyers NBA on Twitter, Pelicans play-by-play man. Joel, where can everybody find you and AD and Jen and the rest of the crew tonight?
Fox Sports New Orleans.
There you go.
It's all there for you.
Doing it live from the Smoothie King Center, even though the game's in Orlando. Going to be a crazy experience. I can't wait, though, Joel. I've missed you, man. Glad to have you back tonight.
Hey, Bob, thank you. Anytime.
Yes, sir. You have a great day. That is Joel Meyers, the voice of your Pelicans. As you can tell from the very optimistic tenor of that interview, there are a ton of things to be excited about with this Pelicans team. When we get back, we'll look at our summer poll questions, and I want to talk about that. I think